The movie begins in a bar, following two tall men with dark complexion, in their late 20s. They are pool hustlers who have just beaten a gang in a game of pool, taking a great fortune from them. He and Tyrell swiftly walk out of the bar to secure their success for the night. However, the gang is unhappy with the events and pursues the duo. Tyrell and Malcolm stride across the parking lot and into their getaway car. At the same time, the gang emerges from the bar and yells at them. The two refuse to acknowledge them and enter the car. The gang is closing in on them. However, Tyrell is having a hard time starting their car. He makes a quick decision to lean out of the driver's seat and shoot the tires of the gang's motorcycle. With that, the duo drives away from the bar and heads to the Canadian border. In another part of the story, we follow an American girl named Maya Johnson. She is at her family home, sitting at the dinner table with her family. They are fussing about her upcoming wedding. Her grandmother Rose even brings out her old wedding gown, excited to let Maya wear it at her wedding. However, Maya remains quiet for most of the time, smiling politely, but not seeming too thrilled about the whole ordeal. Later that day, Maya stops by a diner in South Bay, Los Angeles. There she crosses paths with Malcolm, who also happens to stop by at that diner. She reproaches him, thinking that he does not have good intentions, but immediately apologizes for getting the wrong impression. Malcolm offers to listen to her if she wants someone to talk to. Soon, Maya starts sharing what bothers her and some of her conflicts with her dad. The scene goes to a flashback 1 month ago. Maya and her family are eating breakfast at the dining table. She cautiously mentions that she is traveling to Africa to get some inspiration. Her father, Ed, is incredulous at her sudden decision and is absolutely against it. Maya argues that she is aspiring to be an artist and believes that this trip will help her. With her aunt and grandmother being supportive of her decision, she ignores her father's reprimands. Maya and her father get into a heated argument without reaching a mutual conclusion. Her father stands by his decision, fearing the dangerous possibilities that go with a woman traveling alone. Maya, on the other hand, announces that she has already bought a ticket and is planning on staying there for 3 weeks. Soon enough, Maya follows through with her plan and flies to Africa. She enjoys the new activities she gets to partake in this new country and sees breathtaking places she has been dreaming of. One afternoon at a cafe, Maya is painting in her journal some inspirations she got from her adventures through the country. She notices a tall man with a dark complexion taking a photo in her direction. She confronts him for his rude behavior, but the man explains that he is taking a photo of the mural behind her. Maya apologizes for the misunderstanding, and the man introduces himself as Mtumbi Bambari. Mtumbi keeps Maya company for the rest of her trip to Africa. Soon a romance blossoms between the two. She has never been in a relationship as quickly as with Mtumbi, but at the time, he simply sweeps her off her feet. He supports her passion for becoming an artist and sees her in his future. Not long after, he decides to propose to her. At first, Maya is reluctant, since they have only met recently. However, she is moved by Mtumbi's passionate words and believes that he is truly the man for her. Maya calls her aunt, Clara, to announce the good news. She has been telling her about Mtumbi, who accompanied her for her trip, and is a generally nice and generous person. She excitedly tells her that she is getting married to him. The call on Clara's end is on loudspeaker, so that Ed can also hear their conversation. Her father is exasperated by her sudden announcement. Apart from his daughter being too young and naive to make such rash decisions, they do not even know who this Mtumbi is. Ed naturally argues against Maya's decision, but of course, there is little to nothing he can do about it. Maya ends the call and heads back to Mtumbi's place to seek comfort. To her horror, she finds him entangled with another woman on the living room couch. When Mtumbi sees her, he tries explaining that it is all just a misunderstanding. But cheating is never a misunderstanding. It is a conscious decision by the people involved. Maya walks out of the house, heartbroken. Maya flies back to the USA, devastated by the trip. All the inspiration she got is overshadowed by her heartbreak. Ed and Clara welcome her at the airport. Ed gloats in success when he does not see this Mtumbi guy with his daughter. He reiterates that Maya should have listened to him in the first place, and that she is still young and naive. Not wanting to give her father the satisfaction of proving her wrong, Maya claims that Mtumbi is coming to the country next week. He just got delayed by his business affairs. Back in the present, Maya grunts from the situation she has put herself in. She thanks Malcolm for being a good listener before heading out of the diner. Not even a minute later, Tyrell shows up, infuriated, thinking that they were robbed. Soon, however, he finds out that Malcolm took the money and gave it to a couple in need. This fuels his anger even more, and he gets back to his car to get a gun. Seeing that Tyrell is serious about putting him down, Malcolm hurriedly gets out of the diner through the back door. At the same time, Tyrell comes back inside the diner. He antagonizes the crew, demanding Malcolm. Outside, Malcolm sees Maya's truck and gets an idea. When Tyrell gets out of the diner, he sees Maya driving away. Suspecting that Malcolm might be hiding in her truck somehow, Tyrell gets back to his car and follows Maya. Meanwhile, Maya has no idea that Malcolm is hiding in the back of her truck. After she has driven far enough, Malcolm reveals himself, surprising Maya. He calms her down and explains the current situation to her. He tells her that he will help her with her marriage situation if she helps him with his. After consideration, Maya takes the deal. She steps on the gas pedal and hides in a shrouded area off the highway, losing Tyrell's car in the process. Now it is time for Malcolm to fulfill his end of their deal. Maya is with her family at the airport, waiting for Antumbi's supposed arrival. Since he is not coming, Malcolm pretends to be him and introduces himself to her family. He radiates energy and eagerness to become a part of their family, to please them. He even kisses Maya to sell their act as an in-love couple. Ed retains his skeptical attitude towards him and acts too formal in meeting him. They head back to their home, where Malcolm meets the rest of the family. They seem to like his vibrant personality. Even Ed is starting to loosen up a bit around him with this sense of humor. They offer him the guest room upstairs, which Maya shows him. When they are finally alone in the guest room, Maya mentions that his accent and clothes do not resonate with South Africa. Malcolm references pop culture and thinks that his acting is on point. She shrugs it off and tells him to get comfortable while possible. Maya wakes up late the next day. The aunts and cousins are in the kitchen, preparing for a big meal as a welcome celebration for Malcolm. They mention that her uncle Rufus is also coming over to meet his fiancée. He is greatly interested in the African culture, and he cannot wait to meet Malcolm, who is pretending to be from Africa. Maya goes to check on Malcolm, but they tell her that he is already up and helping her dad. By this time, Rufus arrives in his car and meets Malcolm. He speaks in his presumed language, which Malcolm does not have any idea about. Thankfully, Maya arrives and saves him from the situation. Malcolm explains that he is not really a native of Africa, and he just moved there recently. During their family meal, Rufus expresses his excitement about their upcoming wedding, as he is expecting a traditional wedding. To avoid any suspicion, Maya claims that they will be having a simple wedding, and will not have any of the traditional customs from Africa. Later that night, Maya is in the guest room with Malcolm, brainstorming their next move. Malcolm wants their whole act over, seeing that Maya has a nice and decent family. He believes that they will accept her, no matter what. However, Maya has her pride to protect. She is willing to take their act as far as possible, just so her father will not have the satisfaction of being right. She points out that she saved him from serious trouble, so he owes her big time. The plan is that they will push through the wedding and go back to Africa for their honeymoon. When Maya returns home, she claims that her husband got into a boating accident and drowned. The next morning, her Aunt Hillary brings Maya along for shopping while Malcolm is left at home, helping Ed in building a shed. Maya is worried that something might go wrong between him and her father while she is gone, but Hillary and Malcolm assure her that it is good for them to get to know each other. Malcolm enthusiastically offers his help to Ed, helping him carry heavy loads of wood, and even building the roof of the shed. Ed starts appreciating Malcolm for being a skilled builder. He continues building until Maya and her aunt return that afternoon. The next day, Hillary and Rose are watching Malcolm, still working with Ed on the shed. His warm personality is growing in on them, making them think that he is indeed the best man for Maya. Maya joins them for breakfast, and to her surprise, Malcolm and her father seem to be getting along very well. She checks on them inside the newly built shed, and hears them talking about some solar panels that Malcolm will install once they get back from their planned honeymoon. Maya does not seem to be too enthusiastic about this new friendship between them. She brings him outside to put him straight. She reminds him that he is not supposed to come back from the fake honeymoon. Malcolm apologizes for forgetting about their plan, and explains that he only wants their act to be as convincing as possible. Maya thinks that it is better that her father does not like him. At least that way, no one in her family will grow attached to him, and it will be easier to get rid of him. She walks away, saying that she needs some time alone to sort things out. Maya walks by the rocky shore of the beach, a few meters away from her house. Malcolm decides to keep her company, although she tells him that she wants to be alone. This slightly irritates her, but she decides not to argue about it. They sit side by side, a few feet from the ocean. Malcolm asks her about her aspirations as an artist. Maya sadly replies that she is figuring things out at the moment, and believes that South Bay is not the place that will let her grow. Later that afternoon, Maya sees Malcolm painting with her paint supplies, and she can't help but smile at his eagerness. She gets out of the house to join him. She casually asks about his plan after this whole ordeal is over. Malcolm tells her that he might be heading east, but still does not have a concrete plan. He does not have anything particular in mind, since he does not have a home to come back to. His parents passed away in a car crash when he was only 4 years old, and no family ever adopted him permanently. Maya assures him that it is all of those families' loss. Seeing that he turned out great, she shrugs it off so it will not appear to be such a big deal, and heads to his painting. She sees a goofy painting of two people by the ocean, seeming to be drawn by an elementary student, and she can't help but giggle. He starts painting again, and playfully smears some paint on Maya. Maya makes sure to get back to him. They smear paint on each other, back and forth, enjoying this precious moment together, until they gravitate toward each other. Malcolm starts leaning in for a kiss, but Maya gets back to her senses and awkwardly tells him that they should go take a shower. After taking a shower inside the house, Maya gets dressed, having a good mood from her time spent with Malcolm. Meanwhile, Malcolm uses the shower outside the house and is reaching out for his towel. What he does not know is that Naomi is spying on him, waiting for the right opportunity to make a move on him. Naomi takes his towel and steps inside the shower, offering to help. Malcolm is so surprised by her forwardness that he staggers back inside. He quickly grabs the towel from her and wraps it around his waist. He gets out of the shower and tries to tell Naomi off, but she is insistent. She tells him that they are so much better together than him being with her cousin. She latches on him, causing them to stumble to the ground. At the same time, Maya walks in on them and sees Naomi on top of Malcolm, who is half. Maya walks back into the house, feeling angry and a little heartbroken. She thought that there might be something blooming between her and Malcolm for real, but it turns out that he is interested in Naomi. Meanwhile, Malcolm finally puts Naomi into her place, saying that his and Maya's love is blessed by the African gods. Naomi apologizes and backs off. Malcolm gets dressed and picks up flowers for Maya. He knocks on her bedroom door. Maya opens it briefly before shutting it in his face. He is left wondering what the problem is. He tries knocking again, asking if something is wrong. This time, Maya lets him in and irritably tells him what she saw between him and Naomi. He tries explaining that it is just a misunderstanding, but Maya is not willing to hear any of his excuses. Maya gets into her car to clear her mind. Malcolm gets on with her, still eager to explain his side. She tells him to get off, but her father suddenly appears, asking them what they want for dinner. He mentions that her aunt, Hillary, and Naomi will be joining them later. Hearing this, Maya tells him that she and Malcolm are planning to go out for dinner. The two arrive at the restaurant. Before they can even order, Malcolm sees Tyrell from across the room. He hurriedly hides under the table and stays there for the rest of the night, waiting for Tyrell to leave. Maya's initial irritation is replaced with a bit of anxiety and amusement at how ridiculous Malcolm is willing to be just to get away from Tyrell. When Maya can no longer see Tyrell anywhere, the two of them head back to her car and return home. As they pull out of the parking lot, Tyrell steps out from the shadows, determined to make sure that Malcolm pays for what he did. That night, Malcolm decides to leave Maya and her family for good. He knows that staying with them might cause them some danger if Tyrell finds out. He packs up his suitcase and is about to walk out the door when he sees Maya's creation. She admires her artistry and sees that he has become part of her inspiration, along with her parents. This makes him change his mind and walk back inside. The day of the wedding finally arrives. Malcolm walks to the church with Ed, looking handsome in a black tuxedo. When he opens the door, anxiety washes over his body as he sees Tyrell sitting in one of the pews at the back of the church. He tries entering through one of the other entrances, but he is too scared that Tyrell will see him. Unfortunately for him, after a few minutes Tyrell walks out of the church and confronts him about the stolen money. Malcolm explains that he no longer has it. Tyrell knows that he gave it to the couple who are expecting a baby. However, he is willing to let it slide if he lets him in on his scam. As it turns out, Tyrell thinks that he is marrying Maya to scam her. Picking up on this, Malcolm decides to play it out. He explains that after their honeymoon, they will inherit one of Ed's hardware shops. When it is put under his name, he will ditch her, inheriting a great fortune. Tyrell is delighted to hear how well thought out his plan is, and is even more exhilarated when Malcolm assures him that he will get his cut. Maya arrives in her simple but elegant wedding gown, and the wedding goes as planned. She sees Tyrell among the crowd as she walks down the aisle, causing alarm bells to start ringing in her head. When she is finally standing beside Malcolm, she gestures back to the crowd, indicating that Tyrell is in the church. Malcolm assures her that he has things under control, and she has nothing to worry about. The pastor sees them talking in a hush and inquires whether something is wrong. Maya and Malcolm assure him that everything is all right. They exchange their vows anxiously, then they kiss, ending the ceremony. Their family and friends present for this day erupt in cheers of joy for the newlywed couple. They all return to Ed's home for the party. Maya tosses her bouquet as a tradition. All of the guests are having a good time. Ed and the rest of the family welcome Malcolm officially as a part of their family. Malcolm smiles at them politely, exchanging hugs of appreciation. Maya watches them sadly from afar. She never expected her family to love him, and it pains her to know that their act is almost over. After the party that night, Maya and Malcolm check into a fancy hotel to spend the time they are supposed to be spending for the honeymoon in Africa. Maya thanks him for helping her out with her situation, and they both laugh it off as a fun little adventure. It suddenly dawns on them that that is the end of their time together. Both of them feel dejected, but neither is willing to admit it. Maya shakes his hand, and Malcolm wishes her luck. He tells her how wonderful her family is, and wishes that she sees that. He smiles encouragingly at her, trying to hide the sadness that he truly feels, and walks out of her suite. Malcolm walks down the hall and looks back a few seconds, hoping that Maya will stop her, but the door to her room remains closed. Maya sits dejectedly in her room, pondering about how she truly feels for Malcolm. A minute passes, and she runs out after him, only to find that he is no longer in the hallway. After a few weeks, Maya continues with her plan of pretending that Malcolm passed away while they were on their honeymoon trip. Her family joins her in mourning, especially since Malcolm grew on them. Maya goes back to her room for some privacy. Naomi decides to go comfort her. She goes on to tell her that Malcolm was a great guy. Maya jabs on her, saying that it is the reason she cannot keep her hands off of him. Naomi tries to feign it, but Maya tells her that she saw what happened at the back of the shed between them. This surprises her, and she immediately decides to come clean. She apologizes for trying to hit on him before, and explains that it was not his fault. He even told her that the gods had blessed their love, so she decided to back off. Maya is surprised that Malcolm said that about her, and it brings a little joy to her heart knowing that she has his loyalty. Meanwhile, Tyrell is lurking outside the Johnsons' house, confirming whether Malcolm's plan is in play. What he sees, however, is the mourning family of his supposed wife. This confuses him, and he drives away to look for Malcolm. Hiding behind a tree a few blocks away, Malcolm observes as Tyrell's car leaves the neighborhood. He changes his mind, realizing what he truly feels for her. He decides to walk back into her life and make up a story that he survived the accident to be with her. He starts walking toward her house when Tyrell pulls beside him. He points a gun at him and orders him to go inside the car. At Johnson's house, Mtumbi shows up unannounced, leaving Maya stunned. He proposes on the spot, leaving her whole family in confusion. He apologizes for what he has done, and explains that he followed her immediately when she left his house. Unfortunately, his car fell off a cliff, and he is in a critical condition. When he finally recovers, he immediately flies to the USA to look for Maya and make it up to her. Back in Tyrell's car, Malcolm explains that he is not planning a scam. He says that he is just really helping Maya out, because she helped him get away from Tyrell back at the dinner. However, Tyrell is not buying it and insists that he gets his fair share. Malcolm finally grows impatient. He dares him to get it over with, since he has nothing left to lose. He does not have a family to go back to, and the love of his life and the people who appreciate him all think that he is no longer alive. This catches Tyrell by surprise that he does not know how to reach. Malcolm forcefully gets out of his car. Tyrell follows him out and claims that he is only bluffing. Malcolm stands his ground and dares him to shoot. Tyrell finally realizes that Malcolm is telling the truth. What is more is that he fell for Maya for real. He decides to leave him be, seeing that there is nothing left for him. Malcolm knocks on Maya's home eagerly. Clara and Rose open the door for him, and they are delighted by their return. Malcolm hugs them, happy to be with the people who appreciate him. They bring him into the living room, and he immediately tells them a story of how he survived the boating accident. Maya stops him and finally comes out with the truth. She tells everyone how upset she was when she found out that Mtumbi cheated on her, and that she knows her father will make a big deal out of it. She also tells them that Malcolm only pretended to help her out. At first, Ed is upset with her, but he realizes that he must have done something wrong if his daughter would rather lie to this extent than confide in him. He and Maya reconcile with each other. Maya tells them the truth, that she truly fell in love with Malcolm for real. Hearing this, Malcolm smiles and admits that he loves her just the same. Everybody is happy for the young couple, now that they know that Maya and Malcolm truly love each other. On the other hand, Naomi makes her move towards Mtumbi and takes him for herself.